Hi, and welcome to Unshaven Vortex. Today's video is about my most anticipated albums for 2022, and I dare say it contains some exclusive information you won't find anywhere else. Like last year, this video is split into sections, and the first part is about albums that already have a release date. Starting off on the 21st of January, Doom legend and one of my favorite voices, Patrick Walker, returns with the third 40 Watt Sun album. Based on what we heard so far, this one is going to be even less metal and even more introspective and intimate, and unusually the band features a lot of guest musicians this time around, which they've never done before as far as I can remember. Based on the preview tracks, the band extends their feelers to broaden the scope of their sound. Another one for the 21st of January, Circus Metal returns. At least that's what I termed the sound of Pensées Nocturnes when I became aware of them with their previous album, Grand Guignol Orchestra. The music on this album was a bizarre and disturbing mix of DSBM and circus music, and also featured an impressive array of instruments and vocal styles. Based on what the band has shared so far, this new album takes us back to the France of old and promises to be no less fascinatingly strange. Next up, on the 22nd of January, we have a new Monarkh album, which is going to be released by German Kammer Records. I first became aware of this label when they dropped the debut album by Verhexe, Black Blood of Stars, which ended up charting highly on my top list for 2020. Just like Verhexe, Monarkh is a project featuring Fern of Fernask, which is probably their most well-known musical outlet. And what I find interesting about this upcoming Monarkh album is that all streams of black metal seem to converge here. Traditional second wave, modern orthodox black metal, DSBM and the spiritual come together for this album. Next up we have some quickfire releases starting on the 11th of January with Det Eviga Leendet. This is the second album by this Swedish, cosmic and spiritual black metal band, and I definitely have to refresh my memory on their debut album. But either way, the preview single for this upcoming album sounded extremely powerful and driven, so definitely keep an eye on this one. Another quick one, on the 8th of March awaits a new Véhémence album. I first became aware of this band with their previous album, which I should also refresh my memory on. Based on the previous single for this album, the band continues their anthemic and folky sound, and if you're into this whole medieval black metal thing with bands like Arlok, then definitely keep an eye on this one. And the last album for this part of the list, on the 25th of March, lesser known but no less important melodic death metal veterans Eucharist have a return scheduled for 2022. Again, there's not much to say about this one so far, but for a melodic death metal band that makes a return after almost 25 years, this sounds pretty solid so far, so I'm looking forward to it. Moving on, the next section is going to feature albums which are likely to happen this year, but have not yet been officially announced. Starting off, we have Deathspell Omega, and this year it will have been 3 years since their astonishing The Furnaces of Palingenesia, which I recently dedicated an in-depth discussion video to on the channel. Now, Deathspell Omega keep a pretty steady rhythm between their releases, so it's likely that we get to hear something from them in 2022. And since last year, Roy Christensen, who has contact with the band, has been teasing something on the website for the Imhotep fanzine. It'll be really interesting to hear what shape the band's sound takes on a new album, so I'm really excited for new material by them. Next up, 2022 might see the release of a new Satyr album. This US mathcore and progressive metal band actually released one of my favorite albums of 2020, but I only found out about it in 2021. Their debut was one of my most listened albums in 2021, and the band has been hard at work since then. Based on what they shared so far, it's likely that they're going to drop a new album this year, and I'm really looking forward to it. Moving on, last year, Ukrainian black jazz masters Whiteward already teased that a new album was nearing completion. In a 2021 recap post on their Facebook page, the band revealed that the new album is actually ready and scheduled for a spring release. Full disclosure on my part here, I actually prefer their debut album to their second album, but either way I'm really interested to see where they take their sound next, and I'm really looking forward to this. Next up we have Valborg, and this German trio last released an album in 2019. Over the course of their discography, their sound evolved from more traditional black metal into this type of futuristic and cold industrial doom. Their last album, Zentrum, was my gateway into their music, and I'm excited to see where they take their sound next. The band has announced that the album will be ready in 2022, but no further details so far. And to round out this part of the list, we have another German band with Porta Nigra. These unsung German avant-garde metal heroes blasted their way into my heart with their previous album Schöpfungswut, which only narrowly missed my Album of the Year spot in 2020. The band had already revealed that the subject matter for the next album will take us back to the German expressionism of the early 20th century. But I also reached out to them to ask how far along the new album has come, and this is what I can say so far. Except for the vocals, the album is done, and sound-wise it's a mix of everything they've done so far, but it leans towards their earlier albums. If things keep going the way they have, it's likely that we get to hear some new music from them in 2022. Once again, the final part of the video is kind of a wish list of albums I would like to see this year, and this time it features all the same bands as last year. However, there have been some progress updates here and there, and I won't go too into detail in these bands this time because I already featured all of them in last year's video. Starting off the final part of this list with Slugdge, and soon it will have been 4 years since they finally had their breakthrough with Esoteric Malacology. Shortly after, the core duo of the band completed the lineup with Matt Lowe of Novena on bass and Alan Cassidy of the Black Dahlia Murder on drums. Since then, the band has mostly been silent, so I reached out to them to see what things are like. While I know a bit about the band's situation now with respect to their privacy, I won't delve into the details. What I can say, however, is that they recently continued the writing process for the next album and intend to have new music ready for 2022. Next up we have Vermin Womb, and I think the last time I talked about this deathgrind trio featuring Ethan Lee McCarthy of Primitive Man, they had just reunited, and since then they've written new material, actually performed their new material live, and I really hope in 2022 we get to hear some new studio music from them. Moving on, we have UK sludge metal heroes Trudger. In 2018 they posted that they are back at it, and since then they were silent. However, recently in a Facebook comment they explained that they've been hard at work on a new album this entire time, so I hope we get to hear new music from them in 2022. Next up we have Wyrding, and once again there have been no official news from the band so far. But after the looking back episode I made about their debut album, the band actually reached out to me and said that this video had them talking about some new music. And to me it's just mind-blowing and amazing to hear that my content can have an effect like that. And yeah, I really hope we get to hear something from the band in 2022. And finally, come on guys, I know you can do it! Alright, that's it from me. What albums are you looking forward to in 2022? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed watching this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. If you do, remember to hit the bell to get notified about new videos as they come out. Over here right next to me you can find more content from the channel. Thank you very much for watching, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.